Taylor. This is going to be my detailed commentary video for my Luigi's Mansion 100% TAS. I'm going to be like stopping the video a bunch to like explain stuff and like go pretty slow through this whole thing to get all the details. If you'd like a not stopping and slowing down commentary video, you can check out the live commentary from when this was premiered. And yeah, so let's get into it. So this run does play on the Hidden Mansion mode, which you can tell by the star in the corner right here, which basically just means that the vacuum is twice as powerful, and that's it. There's really no other difference at all between regular Mansion and Hidden Mansion, so yeah, it just makes it a little faster for us. Alright, well, I bet you were expecting to see something happen here, but no, guess what? We're stopping. So what is 100%? So 100% definition, real quick, that's going to be all 50 boos, all portrait ghosts, however many there are, like 20-something, I forgot. So all 50 boos, all portrait ghosts, and enough money for the highest rank. So at the very end of the game, you get a rank for based on how much money you collected throughout your playthrough, and the highest rank you can get is rank A, and that requires getting at least 100 million G. So that's what we're aiming for. So we need all the boos, all the portrait ghosts, and 100 million G. So first couple rooms are pretty easy. There's definitely plenty of time to get all the money. Another thing to know here is that, and by the way, I'm going to be stopping more often, like in the beginning of the run, to explain shit. Later on, once I've laid everything out, the basics and techniques and all that, it won't be as stop heavy, but just bear with me for now. Right now I'm setting up for a dupe, and what that means is that there are some pieces of money, so that's going to be gold bars and pearls, the pearls that you get from portrait ghosts. Those two and only those two pieces of money you can duplicate, and you do this by basically having it touch Luigi's vacuum hitbox and also Luigi's like body hitbox at the same time, because you can collect money in those separate ways. You can have it touch the vacuum while it's active, or you can like walk over it with Luigi and it'll collect it. And yeah, so for gold bars and pearls, we are able to duplicate them with two different methods. One of the methods involves using element, which we don't have yet, so we're just doing an air dupe here, where we kind of like we get it up in the air, we get the object up in the air, and then we do an R pump here, so we're bringing the vacuum basically into Luigi's like head, and then we have it touch both of those things. So we have it touch Luigi's head and the vacuum on the same frame, and you can see we have two gold bars here, where before there was only one. So we'll be doing that with as many gold bars and pearls as we can. It's more of a value for the pearls, especially the big pearl, which is 1 million G each. So that will play a big part in the money route. But yeah, let's keep going. Okay, So let me real quick explain ghost suck up animations. So you can see that. So what you're draining a ghost of health, right? So it's okay. It reaches 0 health and it stays at 0 health for a few frames, and then the health indicator disappears, and this is what is referred to as the suck up animation, where the ghost has basically been defeated. It has no more health, and the only thing left is for it to actually get into Luigi's vacuum. So this can take a variable amount of time depending on the animation that you get, and you can affect how long that animation is by being really close to the ghost, basically. So as you can see, I kind of manipulated the ghost to not like run away from me. I kind of manipulated it to like just turn around, and then you can see it's kind of stuck in between me and this like table right here. So I point my vacuum up so it's like right up next to it, and that allows me to get this really short, like 8 or 9 frame, whatever that was, animation. And this is important because the next wave of ghosts for each room, only like the timer for when they spawn only starts when the previous wave of ghosts has been like completely sucked up. So getting fast and suck up animations is really important, and it ends up saving a lot of time overall throughout the run. Okay, damn, that was clean. So right there, you can see that I staggered the amount of health that these two ghosts have, and this is because I want them to enter the suck up animation on different frames. So you can see this one has just entered the animation, and now this one has. And this is because there are actually 2 different kinds of suck up animations you can get with ghosts. There's a twirl and a wave. So what you're watching right here is the twirl, where it kind of is like it's spinning, and like there's like spinning into a vortex kind of deal. And generally speaking, like 90% of the time, twirls are going to be faster. It is possible, like, and it's variable. So it's like you can get a really fast wave that's faster than a really long twirl, but in general, twirls are going to be faster. And I staggered the amount of HP that they have so that they could both get a twirl animation, because when you have 2 ghosts like this, if you have them enter their suck up animations on the exact same frame, the game likes to give one of them a twirl and one of them a wave. It doesn't like to give both of them the same kind of animation if they get sucked up on the exact same frame. So I stagger them right here, and even though that technically wastes a frame, it actually doesn't, because I'm able to get fast animations on both of them, so it ends up saving time overall. And we get another gold bar dupe right here. So we have 4 gold bars for the price of 2. Okay, and let me explain one thing about this. So you might be asking yourself, Taylor, you got a really slow animation on this ghost right here. What was up with that? Well, I thought you said that twirls were faster. What's up with that, man? What's going on there? All right, let me explain. So basically, when you have 2 ghosts like this one has more health, right? So when you suck up a ghost, so like you can see right here, boom. All right, so this one is defeated, right? So as soon as you get a ghost and it enters the vacuum, now Luigi will enter this knockback animation that he's in right now, where you can't move or anything. He's just in this knockback animation, right? And this is a fixed length animation. So sucking up another ghost while this is the animation is playing doesn't actually add any time to it. And as you can see, as long as we get this second ghost within the length of this animation, it's not going to add any time. So if, as you can see here, boom. So on this frame, or I think the frame before, technically, is when the ghost got sucked up into the vacuum. And now on this frame is when the knockback animation ends. So we're able to move like right away. And if we had delayed that by like a frame or two, then we would have gotten a second knockback animation. But if you suck up a ghost while you're already in the knockback animation, it doesn't actually waste any time, which is why I'm able to have this one have a kind of a slow animation, because the only thing that matters in terms of speed is getting this one as fast of an animation as possible. As long as this one is within the length of this knockback, which it is, we can start moving right away and we're all good. So for the ghost cycles for this room, the first wave of ghosts in this room is just this one orange ghost. This blue ghost is optional and doesn't affect the spawn timings for the rest of the ghosts, or the rest of the waves in here. And also this ghost, the orange ghost that's in this closet, also does not affect the spawn timings. So we're going to be able to collect these two just basically at our leisure. And yeah, that key, it visually spawns like right away, but you can't actually interact with it with the vacuum at all for a good number of seconds. So that didn't actually waste any time. Alright, so this is the first example of a cutscene skip. So as you can see, there's a chest that spawns right here. And usually this will play a little cutscene where you kind of lose control of Luigi, and the camera like shows the chest spawning, and you have to wait like 4 seconds or so. And as you can see, this cutscene was right about to start. So this is like the first frame of that cutscene. But on the first frame, we interrupt it by collecting this ruby. And what that does is that overrides the chest cutscene. So now it just overrides it with the ruby collection cutscene. And then when that is over, we immediately have control again, even while the chest is still spawning. So that doesn't completely negate like the time, because you're still taking time to watch the ruby cutscene. So it still kind of technically does waste a couple seconds as opposed to not picking up the ruby, but it does shorten the amount of time we have to spend in cutscenes overall. And right here, we're about to do our first air dupe of these pearls. So we're gonna get them all in. We're gonna get them all grouped up here behind the chair, and we're gonna dupe them all at the same time. So usually, each portrait ghost produces 4 small pearls, 4 medium pearls, and 1 large pearl. And we already collected 2 of the small ones, so we won't be duping these 2. We'll be duping all the other ones. So we're going to have 6 smalls, 8 mediums, and 2 larges. Okay, one more thing before we move on. Just to explain or to expound upon the idea of wasting time while collecting money, because that's kind of one of the things about this run, is that the challenge of the route is basically finding the money that you can collect throughout the game that wastes the least amount of time collecting. So there's a lot of money that we could get that wastes, not that much time, but it's like, okay, well, how do you know if it's worth it? And basically the standard that I came up with for this is the diamond standard. And what that means is that there are different kinds of gems in this game. And one of those gems, which you'll see later on, is the diamond. And this is a gem that is worth 2 million, so 2 million G. And it costs about 4 seconds to collect it because of that little gem collection cutscene that plays. So I basically said, okay, well, we're willing to collect these, right? 2 million. So we're willing to make the trade-off of wasting basically a little under 4 seconds for 2 million G. So basically anything else in the game has to meet that standard. So it basically has to have the same or better ratio of like time spent to money collected in order to like be worth it. So if something it is like 1 million G, then you would want to waste at most like 2 seconds collecting it, and that goes down to like it only like if you want to waste a frame, you have to collect at least like 3 coins. So that just kind of is like the little standard I ended up using for figuring out whether or not certain money was worth it. And basically the only stuff that really costs any time to collect is going to be duping pearls. So like this, like because we don't have element and we can't do the element dupes yet, we have to do air dupes. So like duping these pearls technically does waste some time, because I could be opening the chest right now and have the like key spawning, but the thing is, this gets me an extra like, I don't know, like 1.4 or no 1.5. I think this specific dupe gets me like an extra 1.5 million G. So it's worth it basically to waste that small amount of time that it took to like line all those pearls up behind the chair and to dupe them. Basically, for our purposes, it's worth it. Like that, the cost of that in terms of like time spent doing it is worth it in terms of the amount of money that we get out of it. And honestly, this is one of like the slower dupes that's in this run. Like this dupe and then the one in Lydia's room, like those two are like probably the slowest 2 dupes in the whole run. Like everything else, it basically only gets better. And that's just from having element basically helps a lot, but even the other air dupes that we'll do throughout the run are going to get faster as well. So again, like this wastes a little time. So I open the chest optimally, and you can't really collect a key until it's like on the ground here. So I spend some time lining up for this air dupe, and basically I could have collected this key right about now. So this also does waste some number of frames, but again, because of the amount of money we were able to get from it, it is worth the cost. So there's a little glitch here you can do called the Laser Crusader, and that's basically you get into this corner right here while you activate the rocking horse that activates Chauncey. And usually when you activate Chauncey here, the door will lock with spikes and you'll be forced to watch this little cutscene of him spawning and giving some dialogue. But for some reason, if you're up against the wall right here in this little corner while you activate it, that never happens. So you can retain control. And you still have to wait a little bit to shoot the ball at him. But it does save a few seconds there. So, semi-recently, I think like last year or sometime, it was discovered that you can one-cycle Chauncey. So you'll see that here. And it's really weird because there's no other like case in the game like this that, as far as I know, where you can actually break off of the ghost. So you'll see we actually stop, like, we like lose connection with Chauncey in the vacuum for a second, and then we like latch. It's kind of hard to see, but basically we stop holding the vacuum and then we start holding it and do some other like specific inputs. And this lets us like reattach to Chauncey after we've already like stopped vacuuming, which usually that doesn't work. For like every other ghost in the game, if you like detach from them with the vacuum, you can't, like, that's it. You have to like start over again. So usually this doesn't work, and I think that's kind of why it took everyone a long ass time to find this, is because this is kind of a unique thing to Chauncey. Okay, so right after this fight, instead of going for this chest, we're going to use it to clip out of bounds, which is in a similar manner to if you've seen the any percent speedrun. For this game, this is the same glitch that you use to get out of bounds here. So now we're basically walking on what we call floor 2.5, or this would be floor 1.5 in this case, because we are basically, we're above the ceiling of floor 1, but we're below the floor of floor 2. So we're like floor 1.5. And this allows us to hit some enemies that we usually wouldn't be able to hit, like these ceiling bats here. And this is an introduction to the skew glitch, which is, listen, I don't actually know how this works, okay? I just know how to do it. I don't actually know the complex technical mechanics behind how skews work. Basically, if you hit certain types of enemies with your foot and you like hold a certain direction on the control stick or the C stick or whatever, it kind of depends, you can get into this skewed state. So Luigi's like hitbox becomes like distorted and he starts walking like skewed basically. And this does actually change like his whole hitbox, and that makes it possible to kind of like clip through or around certain pieces of collision that usually would be a problem or would just stop you like right away. So for example, you can't see it here because it's invisible, but basically there's a door like right here, like right about here, maybe a little farther down. Yeah, there's like a door. So usually if you were to just walk down floor 1.5 here, you would have to open this door, and that actually, it takes a while because you're in like a little bit of a glitched state. So it takes like 10 seconds to walk through this door. But by getting the skew, we can actually just straight up move around it like that. And then we'll get another skew up here. And there's a similar thing right here where there's like a ceiling beam that's kind of invisible that stops you from going into this part of the hallway. But by getting a skew here, we can again bypass this. And then we're going to get a third and final skew here. And instead of clipping straight to King Boo, like the 80% speedrun, we're just going to go to the rec room, and we're going to grab this key. And this key is very important to the route because this allows us to open up this shortcut door right here. But actually, I'm sorry, quick aside. So when we collect this key, you'll notice that this little cutscene plays. So Luigi starts to move for a frame, and then it goes black for like a number of frames before it goes back to normal. And this is because every time you collect a key, the game brings up the map to show you where the key you just collected leads. So like which door it's for in the mansion. And usually, you know, because you didn't see the map, that means we like closed it frame perfectly, so you didn't see it, but it still wastes time bringing up the map and having to close it. And later on in the run, we'll do a glitch that gets rid of that little cutscene, and I don't want to explain it again, so I'm explaining it now. So yeah, keep that in the back of your head. And then also, second thing, so after that key cutscene, Luigi no longer has his flashlight out because for some reason that cutscene like takes his flashlight away, and Luigi's in a dark room. So Luigi has to have his flashlight out in a dark room. So the first thing that's going to happen once we're back from that map screen cutscene is Luigi's going to do this little cutscene of him taking his flashlight. Did I say vacuum? I meant flashlight. Taking his flashlight out. And so that also wastes a little bit of time. And later on in the run, once we get Element, we'll be able to cancel this little animation. But yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, keep that in the back of your head too. But anyway, yeah, that key we just got goes to not this door, but this door right here. So now that we have this door open, we basically have access to the entire Area 3 hallway that's like up here past the stairs over here. So yeah, as you recall, we never actually collected the Area 1 key yet, so right now we're in Area 2. But we're kind of locked into Area 2, like we can't, the door back to the foyer still has spikes on it. But that doesn't really matter right now because we can fix that later. So right now we're just kind of going through Area 2 as normal, pretty much. So we're just getting the key to the ballroom here, and then we're gonna go release the booze after this. So we're gonna do a little strategy here to lure all 6 of these Shy Guys into one spot, or push them. So we can get a nice little 6-piece. Gonna dupe this gold bar here, and we get early release. So this for this Portrait Ghost, for the Whirlindas, they can either show their hearts like instantly, or it takes like another like 10 seconds or something. So there's like 2 possible cycles you can get, and we get the fast cycle here. And because we don't have Element, and we can't do like fast Element dupes, we're going to skip duping in this room for the most part because it would just be like way too slow to like dupe most of these pearls, except for this large one. So getting an extra million is a pretty big deal. So we're gonna do this little thing here where we're walking to the door while we're dragging these pearls along with us, and then we dupe them right before we open the door. And this is still technically a little slow. Like, this does waste a number of frames just because it's a little bit slower to walk with the vacuum out while you're in a lit room than it is to walk without the vacuum out. So this does waste like a little bit of time, but it is well within acceptable limits of the time to money ratio, the diamond ratio, as I explained before. So right here we can, there's like a poster that's covering this button that you can't see yet, and by getting into this corner in the right way, you're able to remove that poster like early, and that saves time later from us not having to take it off while we're over there. I'm gonna dupe these 2 gold bars. Alright, so now that the boos are released, they are in the mansion and we are free to collect them. But as you might remember, we don't actually have the area 1, or I'm sorry, the area 2 key yet. So after EGAD sends us back to the mansion, we're going to go pick that up. So as you can see, there is a boo in this room. Like our boo detector thing is going off. But we're not going to get it right now, and that is because the very first boo that you collect, has a special set of text boxes for it that take a long time. Like EGAD really wants to talk to you after you collect your first boo. So instead what we're going to do later on is we're going to get a boo double, which skips that long text. So we're going to come back for that Chauncey boo later on in the run. I think it's kind of cool how like this game knows that you did the Whirlindas, and it doesn't like completely break or anything. Like when you collect ghosts in the wrong order, I just think that's cool. Anyway, we're gonna do a little cutscene skip here, where we're gonna go up to the door, and then right when you step in front of the door and you have the key, this little cutscene starts playing where the door unlocks. But right when we activate that cutscene, we're going to enter the Game Boy Horror, and then we're going to press A to investigate probably the door. I don't actually know what Luigi is like commenting on right here. But by doing that, we can actually leave this cutscene, or like regain control while this cutscene is still going on, and save some travel time. So now we're going to start collecting boos. And before we get into this, let me explain, because this is really important for the rest of the run. So boo position manipulation. So if you've played this game, you know that boos can be in multiple different locations in any given room. So there's different pieces of furniture that they can hide in. And for our purposes, it's really important that we have each boo in a really specific location that's like optimal for speed. And the way we manipulate this, or the way I should say that the way the game loads boo positions or determines them is basically the game picks what spot the boo is going to be in as soon as you enter the room that the door to the room that has the boo in it that you want is loaded. And that's like a lot of words, so let me just tell you what I mean. So right now the boo for the ante room, this is the parlor that we're going to walk into, but the room after that, the ante room, right now that boo is not loaded. So the game has not given a value to the position of the boo yet, or like where it's hiding. But as soon as we walk into this room, so like right now, so like one frame before this, so right now that this door to this room is loaded, now the game has already determined where the boo for this next room is going to be. So we manipulate all of the boo positions in this run like very precisely. So I manipulated that boo to be right there, and then I had to watch the little cutscene here because we're going for a double here, and we want this boo to move up into the ante room right away. And the boo will only start moving immediately if you watch its little cutscene like this, and then you are also within range of it. And we are, even though we're over here by the door, we are within range of it, so it'll start moving right away, and we can go into ante room. So now, when we're in ante room, now at this point, now the game has determined where the boo that is in wardrobe room, now that location has been determined. So you see what I mean, where when you load the door to a certain room, you're also loading the boo position for that room. So we're gonna activate this boo and then go for the double here. So getting this double skips having the long text for the first boo. And that boo position manipulation is going to it's going to come up a lot, because in a lot of cases we are going to have to manipulate a boo position to be somewhere like way before we actually get it. So I'll show you what I mean later on. So when we walked up into this section of the hallway, this part of the hallway isn't actually, it's like visually loaded a little bit, but it doesn't actually load either of these rooms or like the doors for them until you walk up into this part of it. So as soon as we walked up into here, now it loaded the boo that's in this room. And okay, so I said walking with the vacuum out is, well, in a lit room is slow, but in this case, since we need to have the vacuum out to activate the chair that's over here, what we can do is take advantage of the fact that we're coming from a dark room and going into a lit room. So in that case, it actually doesn't waste any time to take the vacuum out. So you can see we take the vacuum out right away. Whereas if we were just if we waited until like right here to take the vacuum out, you would have to like stand still and watch Luigi take out the vacuum before he could start moving. So we just take advantage of the fact that that little cutscene doesn't play when you're coming from a dark room going to a lit room. So this game is a little weird about loading more than one boo at the same time, even if they're in different rooms. So we actually we have to waste a little bit of time right here getting to this box, because if we get to this box optimally and knock on it, and this is where the boo is, the boo will just switch positions. It doesn't like to activate more than one boo in like a certain amount of time. So we have to kind of stall for time a little bit before we can knock on this and activate the boo. Okay, and so right here, we're close enough to the boo where it's going to start moving right away, and I manipulate it to start moving down right away, and then right here, you heard that little cackle. So I hit it with the vacuum for like 1 frame almost. And what that did is I basically manipulated that boo to move down into this room. So that sets up for this double. And that's another example of like the knockback animation. So as you can see, this boo starts getting sucked up, and boom, it's sucked up. Now we enter the knockback animation right here, and we managed to get this boo right before the knockback animation ends, and so we don't waste any time. So now that we have 5 boos, EGAD is gonna tell us to go to the washroom. Which basically unlocks the washroom for us and lets us get the key to Clairvoya. And yes, believe it or not, taking the mirror warp here is actually faster than walking down the hallway, which still doesn't seem real, but it is faster somehow. Alright, so now we are in mirror room. Ghosts here are pretty standard. Mess around a little bit here, inspecting the mirror. So usually when you inspect a mirror like this, it will do the same thing as you just saw, where it warps you back to the foyer. But in this case, I can't remember if this just doesn't work on all mirrors in dark rooms, or if it's just this one. I think it might be just this room. Well, it's dark. This doesn't, it doesn't warp you because this room is locked with spikes on the door. So if you were to go back to the foyer from this position, you wouldn't be able to get back into this room. So basically, the developers were like aware of that, and they didn't let you warp out of this room. Alright, so this is a first example of another kind of like cutscene overlap, I would call it, where so the cutscene for the chest spawn is about to start playing, but before that starts to play, we're gonna knock on this cabinet here to activate the boo that's in here. So while this cutscene is playing, the boo is also spawning. So this saves time from the overlapping cutscenes of the boo in the chest. Alright, so we're going to do something complicated here, and that is we're going to save warp and also set up a glitch that is called map glitch. And let me explain what we're doing here. So we got the boo, and then right before this cutscene started, we also picked up this fire medallion right here. So now, according to the game, we have the fire element, like point blank period. But usually, when you pick this up, it makes you watch this whole cutscene with EGAD. But because we're in the boo cutscene right now, that one is going to play after this. But we're going to be able to skip that cutscene because since EGAD is asking us if we want to save, we are just going to, usually we say no because saving is slow, but in this case we're going to say yes, and then we're going to reset the game to put us back in the foyer, because that is actually faster than leaving this room normally. So normally what you would have to do is there's 2 like torches on either side of the room here, and you would have to, first you would have to get fire element from the one of the other torches in this room, and then you would have to light both of those sets of candles, and then you could go back into the fortune teller's room. But it's actually faster to save warp here, get fire element from the hallway, and then go back into the fortune teller's room. So not only is that faster, because it also skips the fire element acquisition cutscene, but we're also going to set up map glitch. So let me tell you how we set it up first. So as you can see, okay, we're saving the game. And usually by this point, if we were only doing a save warp, we would have already reset the game by this point. But we also need to set up map glitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to wait until one more EGAD text box shows up, because what we want to do is we want to basically cancel a text box and then hold the Y button, which that's like the map button. So cancel a text box, hold down the map button, and also reset the game all at the same time. And you're gonna see the screen is gonna completely, like, it's not gonna fade to black, it's just gonna cut to black, like right away. Like boom. So this is not what a reset usually looks like. So what we just did essentially is called map glitch, and it stops the map screen from ever coming up again until you like turn the console off and turn it back on. Even if you like reset the game, the map screen will never come up no matter what you do. So that includes pressing Y, so we couldn't bring it up right now even if we wanted to, but that also includes when you collect a key. Remember how I said that every time you collect a key, the game automatically brings up the map screen? So basically, that's not going to happen anymore. So every time we collect a key, it's going to save some, I don't know, maybe like 12 frames, like 15, 12 frames, basically like half a second on every key collection. So that's going to be a nice little time save throughout the run as well. So we're going to grab fire from the hallway here, and then head back to Clairvoya because we need a key there. So this key also spawns like way before you're able to actually pick it up. So it looks like I just kind of wasted a bunch of time getting that money, but really I didn't waste any time. Oh yeah, one other little thing. So when you shoot a ball of element, like I do here, like I shoot fire for these candles, and there's candles that are in this corner too, like down here. So I shoot a ball of element to those candles. So while this ball of element is out, you can't use element at all from your vacuum. So we have to wait until the ball of element like hits something, and then we have to wait a couple more frames, and now we can start using element again. Alright, so now that we have element, we can do vacuum cancels and flashlight skips, or whatever. And what that is so basically, even though we're going from a dark room to a dark room, which usually you wouldn't have to like watch any little cutscenes or anything, but we did actually just watch this like key pickup cutscene, and that takes the flashlight out of Luigi's hand. So the game right now wants to put the flashlight back in his hand. It wants to play that little cutscene, or that little animation where he takes the flashlight out. It wants to play that right now. We're going to skip it for now by immediately opening the door, but it's still going to want to play it when we go out into this hallway. So now to skip that little flashlight cutscene, we're going to so the exact inputs for this are you soft press the L trigger, which like is the element, button, basically. So you soft press the L trigger, and then you hard press it on the next frame. So we soft press it and then hard press it, and that's going to shoot out a ball of element instantly, which puts the vacuum in Luigi's hand instantly, which means we're able to move instantly, because the game wants us to either have the vacuum or the flashlight out, and since we got the vacuum out right away, we skipped that little cutscene. So we're going to be using this a lot. Like every time we go from like a lit room to a dark room, like every time we have to take the flashlight out, we're going to be using this. Okay, so you see me shoot a little tiny bit of element here, and let me explain one more thing about the boo manipulation. So I said that when you load the door to a certain room, that's when the boo for that room gets its position determined, right? And the thing about that is that the only thing that can change the boo's position once you load it, assuming, besides like actually being in the room and then you finish the room, and like once a room is lit up and there's a boo in it and you're also inside that room, the boo will just like move around the room on a timer, and you'll like hear it cackle when it moves around. But besides that, if you're not in a room, the only thing that can change the boo's position is if you completely unload the whole mansion. So that could be either you like soft reset the game, or like when you get taken to EGAD's laboratory, like after you beat an area boss, that also unloads the mansion. So if either of those two things happen, then all of the boo positions get reset, but nothing else changes that. So like we're moving up into this hallway, right, which is going to load the boo position for this room. And we're not going to this room right now. We're going to this room later. But we have to manipulate the position for this boo right now, because we're not going to reset the game or unload the mansion at all before we go to this room. We're going to like go up here, and then we're going to go over here, and then we're going to go back up here. And so we're going to be moving around the mansion, but that's not going to change where this boo is. So we have to manipulate this boo right now. And I do that by shooting this little ball of element here, because that changes the RNG value that the game uses to determine the boo position. So basically, there's certain actions that you can do that will force the game to like cycle the RNG value. And one of those, or I should say, all of the things that can do that easily are using element, using the vacuum, or changing like the direction you're walking in, because these little dust clouds right here, this also like advances the RNG. So if these are in different positions, like if you move at a different angle, that will also change the RNG. So right here, like I remember I said that so this hallway looks like it's completely loaded, but it's really not. Like these two rooms behind these doors are not actually loaded yet until we cross over like this invisible barrier, and you'll see the camera like move. Like right here, it starts to move. So right before we actually entered this hallway, I shot a little bit of element to advance the RNG. So now this boo that's in here is exactly where I want it to be for later on, even though we're not going there yet. And that is used like quite a lot throughout the run. So what we did right there is we activated the butler. Like he has a little candlestick, and you have to activate it, and then once you activate it, he goes on a set path until he sits down on his little chair in his room, in the butler's room. So basically, right now we're just waiting out a cycle, so we really can't lose any time right here, assuming that we start like draining him optimally. Like we can't really lose any time in here. We can't really lose any time here, excuse me, But we do have to still go fast because there's a lot that we have to fit into the cycle. So as you can see, we had gotten the gold mouse there, and we were able to duplicate both of those gold bars. And we're going to do another cutscene skip here. We're going to pick up this hat, Mario's hat, right while this chest is loading. We're going to overlap those cutscenes. We have enough time to collect some of the money in that room, activate this money, and then also activate the mouse hole, while perfectly being in time to defeat the butler here. So this is the first example of an element dupe. And coming up here, so basically I manipulated all these pearls to drop in basically a pile that's almost like right on top of each other. And we're going to do an element dupe, which uses the same principle as an air dupe, where you have the pearls touch the vacuum and also touch Luigi's body on the same frame, and that picks them up twice. But instead of the vacuum being by his head, it's going to be by his feet. So you do a specific series of inputs with the vacuum while you're in a lit room. Basically, you do it's similar inputs for doing like the flashlight skip that I explained earlier, which basically pulls out the vacuum right away, and it's going to put the vacuum. It's kind of hard to see right here, but it puts the vacuum like right between Luigi's legs, while it's still active, while he's like pulling it out. So you have 2 frames to like collect the pearls, and you can see we get a nice dupe there. Oh yeah, so when you take this little gust of wind through the mouse hole, if you, so right here I finished sucking up the boo, and on the next frame I get transferred into the next room. So this skips the EGAD cutscene that usually plays when you get a boo. And I also did that when I was on my way there, like you saw. Okay, actually, hold on. Actually, I gotta say, so you can see there's this, so usually when you get like spit out of this room, you get spit out like just straight across, but I was able to get it so that I got sent like at an angle, like right towards the door. And there's a certain runner of this game, like real-time speedrunner of this game named Snap, who has claimed that he's gotten like spit out of that room in such a way where he got shot towards the door, and he was also able to open the door while he was in this animation. And I was not able to get that. I was not able to replicate that. And there's no video of it, so make of that what you will. But yeah, I wasn't able to get that. So another way to skip the EGAD cutscene when you collect a boo is, so we collect the boo, and if you suck up something else before the EGAD cutscene starts, like before the knockback thing is over, also, like if you suck up this like towel here, that will just completely skip the EGAD cutscene. Okay, so the next place you want to go is the conservatory, which is beyond this wall, or behind this wall right here. But we're going to take a quick little detour by getting a skew off of this mouse. And just clipping through this little piece of geometry right here into the courtyard. And what that's going to do is allow us to get Luigi's letter from this birdhouse right here. And that's great because it means we don't have to come back here later. And it also means we can skip going down into the well. Usually there's like a cutscene that's down here where you see Mario and the altar. And then on your way back up, you get a key that goes to the rec room, which is further down the courtyard out here. But we don't need that key because we have the key that unlocks the shortcut door from Area 2 to Area 3 from earlier, which also gives us access to the rec room, so we can completely skip going down into the well. We just need to get the letter, which we got, and we get another skew off of this flying fish, which like these guys. So I burned these two to you can see right here. This one's about to spawn right in this corner here. I manipulated that one to spawn right there, so I can get a skew off of it, and then we can just clip right back into the mansion, into the conservatory with this potted plant right here. So we set up all those pearls right there for a nice dupe. Now we have the key to the dining room here. And alright, I gotta say, so right here, instead of doing a like normal flashlight skip, which as you recall it like shoots out an entire ball of element, because we only have one bar of element left, we have to do another similar technique that's called like a half cancel, where instead of soft pressing L and then hard pressing L, you soft press the R trigger and then hard press L, and that has the same effect where it skips the flashlight animation, but it only uses one little like wisp of element. It doesn't use an entire shot. So this is better for element conservation. And this affects actually a little thing right here, little mistake, little goof that I made in this run is I'm pretty sure if I had conserved my element a little better and I still had at least one more bar here, like if I did more half cancels earlier in the run instead of regular like flashlight skips, I'm pretty sure I could have shot a ball of element at this second set of candles and had them activated just a little bit earlier. So that I think wasted a few frames there. So listen, I may be slow, but at least I'm honest, alright? Alright, so that was a lot. That was a lot of things happening. So as I move into this room, I manipulate the gold mouse to spawn, because that's like a only, you know, it's a certain % chance that the gold mouse will spawn at all in areas that have gold mice, like the hallway earlier. So I manipulate the gold mouse to spawn. I activate these two things right here, the fridge and this cabinet for the money, and then I stop the gold mouse in its tracks right here by like hitting it with the vacuum just for a second to like make it lift off the ground, because it wants to keep going on its little route, which is like around here, but I want it to stay right here. So I hit it with the vacuum just for a second to stop it in its place. I shoot out a little fire element because this is an elemental ghost in this fridge. It's an ice ghost, and it needs the opposite element that it has in order to be able to stun it. So we hit it with the fire, do a scare skip right there, and I didn't mention what that is. I'll mention that in a second. But then we grab the mouse again, for real this time, and now we're able to stun the ghost. Yeah, I can't believe I didn't mention this earlier, but usually when a ghost appears and Luigi is just right next to it, it'll scare Luigi and he'll do this little like yelling animation. But if you enter the Game Boy Horror, like you saw I did there for like just a frame, God damn it. So you see, I enter the Game Boy Horror here, and basically, if you are in the Game Boy Horror like camera mode while the ghost is spawning, it won't scare Luigi. So, and I've already used this a lot throughout the run. I totally forgot to mention it, but yeah, that's used quite a bit. So you can see that emerald is there, and we will not be picking it up because it does not meet the diamond standard, as it were. It's not worth enough money to justify watching the like cutscene, the pickup cutscene for it. So while we were so right before we picked up the element, we had our vacuum on the sink right here. So once we do pick up the element, I guess it's still like technically registering the vacuum that we had on there. So the water element spawns instantly because it thinks that we just vacuumed the sink. So this spawns instantly, and I manipulate it to go over to the right here, towards where we will be going in a second, and I also manipulate this boo to stop right in front of Luigi so we can start sucking it up instantly, or start draining it instantly. And then right after this, we shoot a ball of water element towards the door that's over here, because the door is blocked with fire, and we're not going to go that way just yet. But when we do come back here to go through that door, we're not going to have water, so it would be slow to have to grab water and then put the fire out and then grab another element and so on and so on. So we get a nice little snipe right here. And you heard that little jingle, that means that the fire has been put out. And then just now, you heard Lugs make that little noise. So this whole time while we were doing kitchen, Lugs had been doing his like attack cycle, and he just stopped. So we just kind of barely made it in time to start draining him, while finishing that whole room and getting the boo and everything. So that I'm glad that ended up working out. And then we get another boo text skip here with the tablecloth, dupe all those pearls, that big pile, and then so we get all the bills here and those 2 gold bars as well, and then we also get this diamond. So this is the diamond I was talking about, that is the diamond standard. So this costs 2 million, I'm sorry, it costs, well, yes, it does cost 2 million, I guess, but this gives us 2 million G, and it costs about 3.5 or 4 seconds to pick up this little cutscene here. So all the other money we get is based off of this in terms of what's fast to get. And this is a case where we don't have time to dupe these gold bars. This is also has to do with the fact that when gold bars and pearls first spawn, they aren't able to be duped right away. Like, you can collect them by touching them with Luigi's body right away, but you can't collect them by sucking them up with the vacuum right away. So you can't actually duplicate them immediately. Most of the time, that doesn't really matter, because most of the time when you finish sucking up a portrait ghost, there's like a little cutscene that plays for like a chest or a boo that we activated or something. And then we're just able to immediately like dupe pearls or whatever. But there are some cases where that's not true, and we'll have to wait like a second or so in order to dupe the pearls. And also, this is more common with gold bars, where we'll be going through a room, and like here, like we only really have time to spawn the gold bars and then pick them up with Luigi. Like, we don't really have time to set up a dupe for them. So we don't duplicate every single gold bar or pearl. So now, thanks to that shortcut door, we're able to just get back into Area 3 over here. We do dupe that gold bar, and then we're able to get Biff kind of like stuck in the corner right here to get all the pearls to drop in one spot. Right before that cutscene plays, we hit that we hit this little cabinet here, and then we manipulate the boo to start charging at us right away. And as it's charging at us, we set up for a nice dupe here. So you can see, this is a little better visual. You can see where, so the vacuum is in between Luigi's legs, and it's like active right now. So these pearls are going to touch Luigi's leg and the active vacuum hitbox at the same time, and they're going to duplicate. So, boom. So we can shoot that ball of water element through the floor there to hit the fire that's on this door, and usually you have to wait until the smoke is like all the way gone, so we're barely able to make it, we're barely able to put the fire out fast enough to not waste any time having to wait for the smoke to dissipate. There's another gold mouse in this room that we manipulated to spawn. We're going to collect it in a second. So there's two ghosts in here. There's that ghost, and then there's a second one. And then right when we suck this one up, we're going to get hit by this plate, which allows us to turn around and grab this ruby right when the cutscene chest, right when the chest cutscene starts to play right here. So we can skip this cutscene or overlap it, however you want to phrase that. So, as you can see in this room, there is a boo in this room, right? You can see the boo radar is going off, and there is clearly a boo somewhere in here, and yet we leave the room without getting the boo. So what's going on? Well, we're in Area 3 right now, and we haven't defeated the Area 2 boss. So the game doesn't really like that, and it's not going to spawn any of the boos that are in this Area 3 hallway until either the Area 2 boss or the Area 3 boss have been defeated. In this case, we'll be defeating the Area 3 boss before the Area 2 boss. But even so, we can't get any of the boos in the rooms that we're about to enter until later on. So what happens if you try to spawn the boo is the boo will seemingly spawn. It'll play its little intro cutscene, and then it will just immediately like disappear, just like straight up disappear. So yeah, you can't collect any of the boos in this area yet. Alright, so for Petunia here, so we just kind of dipped out of there. Let me explain. So for this room, there's a chest that spawns when you defeat Petunia, and the chest contains a key to the billiards room. Now, we are going to clip into the billiards room. We're not going to use the key, so we don't need the key. And on top of that, that little chest cutscene that plays, like when the chest spawns, wastes a number of seconds, and then having to collect the key also would waste a number of seconds, and then duplicating any of the pearls that we might want to duplicate in this room would also waste a little bit of time. So we're going to skip duping any pearls in here, because it would be a waste of time to watch the entire chest spawn cutscene just to dupe some pearls. That would waste too much time. That would break our diamond rule. So we are just going to completely skip on that, collect all the pearls that we can just normally, and then just leave the room right away before the chest even spawns. So usually these yarn balls just kind of like go everywhere when you activate this table, but we are able to just kind of do that. I'm not going to explain how this works. I'm going to actually link a video that explains how this trick works, because it's actually really complicated, and I don't really know anything about it. I just know how to do it, so yeah, but that's really fast. And then while we're draining Nana here, we're going to manipulate all the pearls to be in certain positions and set up for a really clean air dupe. So this is a great example of a dupe that does not waste any time. So I just opened the chest optimally, and now the key is spawning. And while the key is spawning, now that we have element, we can like start and stop the vacuum multiple times really quickly while the room is lit. And this is important because we use like multiple different gusts of the vacuum to like reposition all of the pearls into one little blob here. And then on the final vacuum here, we dupe them like that. we dupe this gold bar here. So that was a good example. That was a pretty clear example of like a vacuum cancel. Right here, where, so technically this is a lit room. I mean, it looks kind of dark, but Luigi doesn't have his flashlight or anything out. So this is a lit room, and we want to take the flashlight. I'm sorry, we want to take the vacuum out to grab this star, and usually that would stop Luigi completely, and you would have to watch this little cutscene before he takes the vacuum out. But if we do, it's the same inputs basically for a vacuum cancel or a flashlight skip. It's the same inputs pretty much. So you soft press L or R and then hard press L right here, and boom, instantly vacuums out. So we use that a lot too. Alright, so our next destination is the billiards room. And like I said, we are not going to use the door. We are going to clip into that room first by getting a skew off of that mouse that is at a very, or I should say the skew itself is like, it requires a really, really extreme skew. And what I mean by that is you can see basically Luigi's like on his stomach almost, like walking. And you can get different kinds of skews where Luigi might be like leaning forward a little less. So this is like one of the most extreme skews that you can get, and you need all of that because basically Luigi is standing off the ground right now. So you can imagine Luigi's height is where his heels are, so like where the back of his feet are. So basically, he's like this much off of the ground right now, and we're gonna use the Game Boy Horror to quickly snap our angle backwards to clip through that collision right there, and then we're gonna be falling between rooms, basically, and we're going to very carefully fall into the billiards room right here. And this is very precarious because when you're doing this clip, like, it's very easy to just get stuck completely out of bounds here, like in one way or another. And when you're stuck out of bounds, you're basically like just soft locked. Like you're completely stuck there. You can't really move while you're like floating over out of bounds. Like you have to basically get into a room right away or you're just screwed. So this is actually quite precise. And then not only is it precise just getting into the room, but it's possible to get into the room, but it's not loaded correctly. So basically you can get into this room, but the portrait ghost, so what's his name over here? I forget this guy's name. I don't play this game. A bank shot. Yeah, bank shot. Slim bank shot. It's possible to get into the room with the clip, but he's not loaded right, and he'll never like expose his heart, and he can't be collected basically, because the game doesn't really expect you to enter this room like from that hallway, so it kind of like doesn't load it correctly sometimes. So this clip was a very precise little trick right here in order to get into the room in the first place, and also to have it load right. But we managed to do it, and we're chilling. Alright, so we got him stuck up against the wall right there, and easy pearl drops. Got a nice little pile right there ready for the duping. So right here, we're gonna do another save warp. And it's a similar kind of concept where we collect the boo, and then right before the EGAD cutscene, like the boo cutscene, we also pick up Mario's glove right there, which would usually incur its own little cutscene. But since we're save warping, so we collect the boo, EGAD asks us if we want to save, and we hit yes, and then the game resets. So we did pick up the glove, and we skipped the little cutscene that plays when you pick it up. And as a result of that, we're going to get this text box right here, which would usually come up, you know, when you pick up the glove while you're in the cutscene. But obviously, we're not in the cutscene, but it's still, you know, the game wants to play this this text box, so we're just going to be like, okay. Okay, so going into this hallway is interesting because if you remember when I was talking about manipulating boo positions, I mentioned how those are determined when you enter the area where the door is to the room that has the boo you want to manipulate, right? So in this case, this whole hallway is one area, and we're about to collect 4 different boos in this area. So this was a little difficult because when we enter this hallway, like when I enter this door, so right now I'm manipulating all 4 of these boo locations at once. And it's kind of hard because basically you have to manipulate it like when you open the door, because while you're opening the door to the area, technically the boo for this room hasn't been determined yet, like in memory. It's going to be determined as soon as he's done with this door animation, but there's nothing you can do during this animation to change the RNG value. So essentially you have to have the right RNG value that you want when you press A to open the door out here. So finding an RNG value that had all 4 of these boos in the right place was a little challenging. Definitely took some more time than other boo manipulation instances, but we got a good one in the end. So if we're activating the twins right here, you have to like activate their like ceiling toy for them to spawn like this, and then for some reason this is like the furthest away from like the middle of the room that you can be, well, for them to still spawn. Like, it's possible to walk closer to the door after you activate it, but they won't actually spawn. So this is like the closest you can be to the door for them to actually spawn for some reason. And of course, we're going to manipulate the twins to be in the fastest possible spot. So one is right here and one is right here. And this is kind of a rare thing right here where we're stuck in this cutscene, but our vacuum is still out and it's still active. So we're able to activate this like drawer and also like pick up the money from it while we're in this cutscene. There's not a whole lot of cutscenes in the game that do this, that like let you keep the vacuum on like while you are watching the cutscene, but we take advantage of it here, and then here again to spawn the Speedy Spirit. So we're going to use this poster to do a text skip right there for the boo. And then we're going to do another air dupe right here. And again, this one is similar to the Lydia and Neville dupes, where it's like, this does waste a little bit of time. Like, you could have picked up that shoe a little earlier, but it wastes so little time and you get so much money for it that it's totally worth it. I'm going to do another text skip for this boo with the bed sheet here, and then instantly warp with the mirror to the foyer. And so now we have all of Mario's lost items, so that means that we can go into the fortune teller's room and defeat the fortune teller. So, you can see we have 19 boos. So we're about to go up and do the Area 3 boss, which is Boolossus. And in order to enter the balcony where Boolossus is, you have to have at least 20 boos. So we're going to get number 20 in this room in a second, but I just want to point out that that is the most amount of boos we have access to right now. Because remember, we can't collect any of the Area 3 boos yet. So we only have access to the 20 boos in Area 1 and 2, which is just barely enough to let us do Boolossus first. But before we go to Boolossus, we do need to go through the Safari Room. And the Safari Room does have a couple elemental ghosts, which we will need the ice element for. So activating this this gold mouse right here. So this is a different kind of gold mouse because this one is activated by scanning this piece of cheese. It's not a random one. And this actually wastes like 6 frames because it delays the spawn. It delays the spawn of this ghost by like 6 frames. But it's totally worth it because we get, I think, 40 bills. I think this, yeah. I think this mouse has like 40 bills, like 30 coins, and like 2 gold bars or something. So those 40 bills are worth quite a bit. This is, in total, this is just under 1 million. So like 5 or 6 frames for 1 million is easy money. And we collect them so fast. We collect the bills so fast, you barely even see them. But we go from 430 to 470. We collect them like all in 1 frame or something. Yeah, so there you go. Oh, I'm sorry, the gold bar was from the ceiling light. It wasn't from the mouse. So again, there is a boo that's over here, but we cannot collect it yet, so we'll be back for it later. And so since we have 20 boos, we're able to pass through the door here and get to Colossus. And there, okay, so there's one thing I want to explain really quickly. And in order to do that, I have to go back a little bit, sorry. Okay, so there's this glitch that I hoped I would be able to find for this run. Unfortunately, I was not able to. And let me just briefly summarize it for you. So there is the possibility of getting to the balcony where Colossus is without going through the door, because the game only checks for the amount of boos you have at the door to the balcony that we were just at. It doesn't, if you manage to get to the balcony some other way without going through the door, the game will just let you do the Colossus fight. Now, here's the thing, is that there is a known way to get to the balcony early. And it's in the tea room right here. So you can see there's these panels on the ceiling. There's these like anti-gravity panels, right? So you hit the one on the floor and you start walking on the ceiling, and then you hit this one and it puts you back right side up on the table. Now there's a glitch where you can use this panel and the stun you get from hitting a ghost with the flashlight. You can use both of those things in a certain combination, and that will actually clip you up onto the balcony, because what's on the other side of this roof right here is the balcony that we were just on, where Colossus is. So it is actually possible to get to Colossus early and start the fight early, but the only thing is that to defeat Colossus you need the ice element. Now you don't get the ice element in this room until you clear the room and you open the chest and you collect the medallion like this, right? So the only way that we know to do this clip is when the room is dark. There are several different methods, but they all require that the room be dark for whatever reason. And I've actually spent a lot of time like testing this, trying to get this clip to work while the room is lit, and I have been unsuccessful. So I'm not going to say it's not possible, because honestly it probably is. I just haven't been able to find it despite extensive testing, and I'm sure after this is released someone will find it like the next day or something, which, you know, I hope someone does, because that would be sick, and then that means the route could be redone, and someone could redo this TAS and make it a little faster, because that would save, like, honestly almost like a minute or two. That would change the route a decent amount. it wouldn't be like a ton faster. Like it would probably be. My guess is like maybe like a minute. I'd have to think about it, but I just wanted to let everyone know that this is a sad reality that we could not. This is a skip that was theorized, and we were not able to make this happen. But who knows? Maybe in the future. Anyway. Okay. Alright, so even though we technically have not cleared Area 2 yet, the Area 2 hallway is lit up because we've cleared Area 3. So now the Area 2 hallway and the Area 3 hallway are cleared. So now that we have defeated Boo Lossus, these boos will spawn correctly, so we're going to do a little bit of cleanup here. Just get these 3 boos that we were not able to get last time, or 4 I should say. One of them doesn't really waste that much time. It's mostly just Tea Room, and actually it's mostly just this boo. It's mostly just Nana's boo that wastes the most time having to go back and collect, but it still makes the route faster. Okay, so now I probably should explain R pumping. So, as you can see, boos drain optimally at a rate of 1 health for every 2 frames. So it takes 2 frames to drain 1 health from a boo. For all the other ghosts, and with the Hidden Mansion, you can drain 1 health every frame. But boos take 2 frames on both the Hidden Mansion and the regular mansion. So how boos work is that they get stunned and are kind of they're stunned as soon as you like hit them with the vacuum for the first time, and then they'll start to move after about 10 frames. Or after about 10 health. I'm sorry, it's like 20 frames. So as you can see, this boo I got it for about 10 health, and like it was stunned for like 10 health, and now it started to move. And the boo is going to want to go in the direction of a different room because it wants to escape. So in this case, there's only one option for where the boo can go. The boo can only go to this hallway that's on the other side of this door. Even though there's like technically another room out here, the boo will never go out here. The game just doesn't want it to go out here. So its only option is this hallway. So what we have to do is what's called an R pump, and basically what that is when you're draining a boo, you hold the R trigger and the L trigger at the same time, and this will, if you hold them both at the same time, the vacuum, so the R trigger, is going to override the L trigger, so it's going to be like you're just holding the R trigger. However, if you release R for a frame and then you start holding it again, because you were holding the L trigger the whole time, it like keeps your vacuum in the same like angle and position. So like you'll see that for 1 frame right here, I'm shooting out a little piece of ice element instead of using the vacuum. So, and you can see that, do it again. So that's what an R pump is. It's just you hold R and L, and then you release R for 1 frame. And this lets you reset the stun that the boo gets. And you can keep it in place. Like this. And usually when you're doing this, you'll just hear the boo cackle like once. And that's a good indication of like how precisely you're performing the R pump, because you can only R pump so many times. Like you can only stun the boo so many times. I think it's after like 15 times you can't stun the boo anymore, and it will just run off wherever it wants to, and there's nothing you can do. And that will come into play in a major way later on in the run. But for now, just know that when you R pump and you have ice element, it makes the boo cackle like a bunch more. Like when you hit the boo with ice element, it makes it cackle like 5 or 6 times or whatever, and it just sounds like you're doing like inoptimal R pumps or something. But that's just a side effect of hitting the boo with ice element. Like you hear how it's cackling multiple times. Usually that would mean it's slow and you're wasting time with your R pumps. Because as you can see, a proper R pump only wastes a single frame. So we got 6, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1, 0, 0, 9, 9, 9. So we spend 1 extra frame on 29 health, and then we're back on our pace of 1 health for every 2 frames. So optimally, an R pump will waste only 1 frame. And usually, like I was saying, if you hear more than 1 cackle, that means that you're wasting more than 1 frame, but that is not the case with ice element. Okay, I just want to point out one really important thing, like really important, is that so the blackout just happened, right? So all the power's out. Okay, but look at this. What the fuck? What's this about, huh? Anyway, yeah, so blackout is in effect. That means all the rooms in the mansion are dark again, and there's ghosts everywhere. Now, usually, what you would do here is there's a mirror on the wall in this room, and usually you would just use this to warp to the foyer, and then from the foyer you would just walk to the wardrobe room where Grimly is. And Grimly is a portrait ghost, so you're going to need him for 100%. So that's what normally you would do. However, we are going to do something else. We're going to go this way. And first of all, we're going to grab this gold mouse right here. Get 10 bills, which you probably didn't see, and some coins. And we're actually going to get a skew here and use this same corner that we used to clip to the billiards room before. We're going to use the same corner, and instead of clipping down into billiards room, we're going to clip, I should say forwards, like in terms of towards the camera. We're going to clip forwards into wardrobe room. Because, I mean, obviously there's no door connecting these two rooms, but they are right next to each other in the mansion. Like, this hallway is like the room that's like right in front here, or like right past this wall that you can't see, is the wardrobe room. So we're going to use this clip to clip in here. And this is basically the same. This is like just as fast as walking through Area 1, like taking the mirror and walking through Area 1. This doesn't really save any time. It's like equally as fast, but it did allow us to get 10 extra bills, and it looks really cool, which is all the justification we need. And usually, okay, so people who speedrun this game in real time know that there's this thing called Instant Grimly, where if you're coming from the Area 1 rooms and you're coming into the wardrobe room, like from that direction, there are some times where you basically walk into the wardrobe room and Grimly is like already, his heart is already exposed. And that's called like Fast Grimly or whatever, or Insta Grimly. And in this case, well, I should say Insta Grimly is a thing because similar to booze, like when you enter the ante room, which is the room like to the right of this, so when you enter ante room, it loads, this room gets loaded, right? So when you enter ante room during the blackout, Grimly gets loaded, and while you're walking to the door that goes to wardrobe, Grimly is still loaded, and he has time to like expose his heart really fast. But because we clipped in to wardrobe room from this hallway, so right now wardrobe is not loaded at all yet, right? So only now is wardrobe room loaded. So even though it looks like we didn't get Instagrimly, we actually did, because this is like, that's like the same amount of time that it would take him to expose his heart, like as soon as possible. But usually this time right here is taken up by you walking across anteroom. So usually when you're walking across anteroom, he hasn't exposed his heart yet, but because it takes some time to walk through the room, that gives him time to expose his heart. But because we just kind of snuck up on him like that, the fastest possible like heart exposure there is we have to wait a couple seconds for that. But even so, it's basically just as fast as walking through Area 1. and gives us the chance to pick up some bills from the gold mouse, like I mentioned. So we're gonna do another nice little air dupe here. Dupe all those pearls. So Grimly is only available to collect during the blackout, so that's why we needed to go grab him, but that's really all we needed here, so we can just turn the power back on. And we're gonna do, this is the breaker room, and we're gonna do the breaker room boo right now. So we're setting this up. First of all, I manipulated the boo to spawn in this barrel so that I can activate it like this while I'm dragging this this tablecloth off the table a little bit, setting up for the tech skip later on. So the tablecloth is set up for later. Picking up the key here and start draining right here. So the thing with this boo is this boo has 200 health. Now I mentioned before that the limit on the amount of times you can stun a boo before it will just completely run away from you is 15. That includes like the initial stun like that I just did. So that was one. So I only have 14 more times basically that I can do an R pump on this boo and have it like stay in place. So that comes out to about 50 health. So assuming that I just keep R pumping this boo like in the same spot, once it gets to 50 health, it's just gonna ignore all of my R pumps and it's just gonna take off wherever it wants to go. And this boo is similar to the Safari Room boo in that there's only one place it can go. The only direction this boo can choose to go in is this way, towards the basement hallway. It can't go this way, so it can only go in this direction. So like there were some other boos before where you can kind of have it switch targets. Like if there's more than one room it can go to, you can have it like switch targets where it wants to go to, and you can save some R pumps that way. But in this case we can't do that. So what we have to do is during our R pumps we have to drag it. So once you do an R pump, you can like move right after you do an R pump, and you can kind of drag the boo along with you. So we have to do this while we're draining this boo because we're gonna need, so once we reach 50 health right here, 50 HP, I guess 40, I guess 30. Oh yeah, that's right, because I spent, so that's one right there, but then we spend this time, so there's no R pumps going on right now, right? Until right now. So this is our second R pump, right? So we still do have to drag it. We have to drag it a little further back so that when we've finally used up all of our R pumps, so now we've used up all of our R pumps, right? So we can't do another R pump. It's not gonna stay in place. It's not gonna get stunned. It's just gonna keep going. But we've dragged it far back enough that we can just walk with it basically to the wall and drain it while we're going. And we just have enough time, we just have enough room to completely drain it right before it goes through the wall. And then we get this nice little tech skip with the tablecloth here as well. So we're saving this boo for later as well. I'm trying to. There's nothing really crazy about this room. get this double. We activate all of the... There's like 4 different shelves here, or like 3. And we activate all the money. And then we also get a dupe on the gold bar that's right here. It's kind of slick, like behind the back sort of dupe. That's probably my favorite gold bar dupe in the whole run, is that one. It's just so clean. Also, wait, hold on. I can't believe I haven't mentioned this yet, but... So when you, like... In case you don't know, when you, like, vacuum or knock on an object that could have money in it, there's, like, a certain chance that it won't spawn the money. Like, just because an object, like, could contain a certain amount of money doesn't mean that it's always going to spawn it when you check it. Like, sometimes you check an object and nothing comes out, and that's just kind of like a random aspect of the game. But as you can see, it's pretty easy to manipulate what you get, or like whether or not you get the money to spawn from an object. So throughout the whole run, we've been getting like perfect money spawns from all the money locations. Okay, so now we have the key to, God, I don't even remember. That's the key to like some area 4 door. I think it's probably a telephone room. But we're not going there just yet. So now we're going to choose to finish up area 2. So like I mentioned before, we already collected this chest, so the little cutscene doesn't play again. And then as we make our way into the kitchen, we already put out the fire in front of this door, so we don't have to get water or waste any time with that. So in order for Spooky to spawn, or in order for Spooky to expose his heart, you have to like spawn this skeleton ghost and then defeat him, so this bone spawns, and usually the bone is supposed to like spawn and then it like hits in the ground right here and then he goes up to it and exposes his heart. But if you position him like perfectly, he'll just expose his heart instantly because he's in the perfect position. So this dupe is a little tricky because it's kind of hard to see, but this like area right here, this like square area, this is all sloped. It's sloped going down this way. So all of this, so everything that's on this surface is going to slowly like creep down into like this like little, there's like a little, like this is where the slope like stops. So everything that's on this surface is going to just like slowly move to the edges here. So it's a little hard to like set up an optimal dupe in this instance, because ideally what you would want to do is get all the pearls like right up here and then dupe them like right after you activate the doghouse in a second. But because all these pearls are just going to slide down, kind of have to get a little creative with it. So what we do is we activate the doghouse and then set up this nice air dupe as we are making our way to the doghouse. Hit that dupe and then hit the warp right here. And so this also, this wastes, I think this wastes like 12 frames or something, but again, that is very worth it for the amount of money that we get out of this, which is, I think, over like, it's probably like 1.5 mil, I forgot exactly, but. Okay, so, I mean, this is pretty like, I mean, it's not simple because this is like, it's actually quite hard to make all these guys line up. Like, obviously we take some damage here so that we can like bop this one and have it go in between these two so we can set up for the triple. Otherwise, these guys aren't close enough together for a triple. But something else I should mention that's been going on throughout the run here is that I take damage throughout this run, including right here. So anytime I like get a skew, that involves, you know, getting hit by a mouse. And every time you take damage, you lose 2 coins. Now, sometimes we're able to get those coins back, like the first out of bounds, like floor 1.5 section after area 1. I got a skew 3 times, and I think on all 3 of those times I managed to get my 2 coins back. But sometimes that's just not possible. Like, it's easier in small hallways like that, but in larger spaces it's just kind of hard to manipulate the like trajectory of where the coins end up in the midst of like everything else that's going on. So in this case, I do lose 2 coins by like pushing this guy over to here to set up for the triple. But that's okay, because first of all, we leave 1 pence on this grave, you know, just for good luck. You know, we got to respect the dead. So we're just setting ourselves up for later, right? Just good karma and all that. But also, consider that coins basically don't matter, because, and I'll explain this later, but we have room. There's some wiggle room in the money route to waste some coins, and I'll like explain what I mean by that later in the run. But it's like not super important that we like you know, scrounge for every single coin that we possibly can. It's there's some more leeway that we can work with. All right, so doing the boss is out of order here. So this is the Area 2 boss, and we've already defeated the Area 3 boss. And the reason for this will become obvious very soon, but basically it allows us to bypass the... because when you defeat an area boss, you usually have to... You collect the area key, and then you like leave the mansion and you go to Egad's laboratory, and he like you know, shows you all the ghosts or all the portrait ghosts you've collected, and he puts them back in the portrificationizer or whatever, and then he shows you like the money total, you know, how much money you have so far, and then he sends you back into the mansion. So usually every time you beat an area boss, you have to go through that. But in this case, since we already have completed we already beat the Area 3 boss, when we beat the Area 2 boss, it is just going to put us back where the Area 3 boss was. So this is like the same place that we spawned at after defeating Dulosis, and usually defeating Bogmire would spawn us like right here. And then there's a chest right here that we open, and we get the key to Area 3. And then we have to go watch that whole cutscene with Egad and everything. But doing the bosses out of order like this allows us to just get put right back up onto the balcony. So that saves time from skipping the Egad cutscene, and it also saves time from having to walk all the way back up to the balcony to get to Area 4. So this is like one of the biggest reasons why we do the bosses out of order like that, is mainly for this time save. Like skipping the Area 2 completion sequence is like a lot of time save. That saves like over a minute. Okay, so right here, so I don't have element, and so I don't have element, so I can't flashlight skip, so I have to do this little animation of taking the flashlight out. but there's a ghost that spawns. There's like a bowler, like a yellow bowler ghost that spawns in these hallways, and because I can't flashlight skip, that means I can't move right away. And because I can't move right away, I can't like move out of the way or like change my angle to have this ghost not spawn. So there's like a ghost that's like guaranteed to spawn, and the only way that I found to avoid it is just to go into the Game Boy Horror while I'm taking out the flashlight, and then yeah. So anytime you see me like use my vacuum or element or something, that basically means I'm like setting up to manipulate the boo. So right now this hallway is like split into two parts, so I'm moving down into the second part where it's going to manipulate the telephone room boo. So I just manipulated the telephone room boo, and then once I enter telephone room, it's going to load the clockwork room boo. So right before I enter telephone, I use my vacuum again for a frame or two to manipulate the clockworks boo right now. Okay, so I mentioned before how sometimes we open chests just so that, well, not just so, but one of the advantages of opening a chest, for example, the chest that was in dining room, is that if it's in a room we're going to have to backtrack to, we want that chest to be open. Otherwise, we're going to be forced to watch a little cutscene when we re-enter the room. If we've gone too far away from the room. So in this case, I open this chest, but I don't collect any money from it. And that's because spending the time to collect the bills from this chest is slow. Like, the amount of money that you get from these bills is not worth the amount of time you would have to spend collecting them. However, we are going to be going back through this room again, and we don't want to have to watch the cutscene of this chest, like, of just the game reminding us that this chest is here. So we open it. In order to skip that cutscene in the future, but we don't collect the money because it would be too slow. But we do get 1 coin. I don't know if you saw that. We do get 1 coin right there, just for the swag. So right here we expose the hearts of the pink soldier and the blue soldier, or the purple soldier, whatever. And we're going to manipulate these guys to go into this like little room or door or whatever right here. So usually this like only opens up once you've defeated all 3 of the clockwork soldiers. There's like, it's like a set of double doors that like opens. But for some reason, the object that these doors are can be pushed by the portrait ghosts, and I'm not sure, like, there's a specific property of the of this object that allows it to be pushed like that. There's not too many objects that can be moved in a similar way, but this one can. So we use that to our advantage. You can see we have we get these soldiers stuck in here, and then they literally just push this whole thing backwards. So this is the elevator that goes to the roof, and it's just exposed right away, and we get these guys all stuck in here. So we're draining them, and then so this is a good example of what I mean when I'm talking about how the pearls aren't you can't dupe them right away because you can't touch them with the vacuum right away. So So all the pearls right now have been spawned. Like the big one is the last one that spawned. So that one just spawned, but there's no chest in this room. So as soon as we finish sucking up this last soldier, we're gonna be able to just like collect these like immediately. But the thing is, we still can't use the vacuum on them yet because it takes like a good like 2 or 3 seconds for these to actually be like tangible for the vacuum. So we actually do have to wait just a little bit before we can set up an air dupe with the vacuum for them. It's like almost imperceptible, but like if we weren't duping these, we could just step on this elevator like right now. Like we could start going up like immediately. But we do want to dupe these, so we do waste the little bit of time it takes to wait that out just so we can dupe those. But it's definitely worth it. Now we set up the 6-piece here, which turned out quite nice actually. This is just kind of this like random idea I had to burn one on each pair and then try to have them all get together in the middle, and yeah, worked out. So this ladder right here, there's like a chest spawn cutscene that's gonna play, and if you're close enough to the ladder, you can press A, and you can press A right before this cutscene starts, and it will put Luigi like onto the ladder. So I like press A right here, and this cutscene starts. But while the cutscene is going on, Luigi like gets onto the ladder, so that saves a little time. You can't actually climb it while the cutscene is playing, but it allows you to just like get onto it like this, so that saves a little bit of time. Alright, so coming up here is one of the cooler parts of the run. I think the area 4 upstairs is like pretty sick. Big part of that is this boo double that we're setting up here. So most of the time 300 HP is like way too much to even do one boo in one cycle. Usually you're going to be chasing that boo around like a few different rooms trying to get it down to 0 HP from 300. But we are getting not only one but two 300 HP boo in one go. So I spawn the boo right here, and then I want to be close enough to it so that it starts moving right away after this little cutscene is done. So where I'm standing right now is close enough. It's like barely close enough so that now it's going to start moving right away. And doesn't need to go down right away because I still have to spawn this boo and then set up for the tech skip. So I spawn this boo and then I start grabbing this tablecloth to pull it off for the tech skip, and you can see the boo from Clockworks has now entered this room, and then I manipulate them both to basically go into the same place, and then boom, start sucking them up at basically the same time. So this is really tricky because I need almost all of the R pumps like I can get to get these guys both in one cycle. So doing that for one boo is, simple enough, but doing that for two boos at one time is pretty pretty difficult because of how precise you have to be with the vacuum in order to not waste any R pumps at all. It's definitely really precise. This is like probably the most TAS only thing about like this whole run, maybe besides some of the clips. Honestly, some of the clips are more viable for real-time speedruns than this. Like, this is just like crazy. And we have the advantage of being able to make these boos switch target rooms. So first they're gonna try to go to Clockworks, and then I'm gonna manipulate them to go into the hallway, and just back and forth. So as you can see, we're draining them like this, and then I just use an R pump on both of them, and I switch their directions. So now they're going towards the hallway, and then I R pumped them one more time, or another time I should say. And in this case, I actually R pumped them, and I had them go in opposite directions. So this one wants to go to Clockworks, this one wants to go to the hallway, but because they're so close, they like run into each other, and that's good for me. So that means I can R pump them again right here, and now they're like basically on top of each other, moving like right in the same, almost in the exact same like space, which makes just a little easier for me to deal with. Because if they're too far apart, it's really hard to get them to like R pump both of them optimally on the same frame. Like, if they're too far apart, it's just hard to do that. So the closer they are together, the easier it is for me doing this. So right as they're about to go in, R pump them again. Just having them switch back and forth. Alright. I do that thing one more time where I kind of get them like close together again. And now we're all good, and we can suck them up. Now as soon as they're on 0 HP, they're basically locked into my vacuum at that point. So I can go ahead, I manipulate the suck up right there. Or I manipulate the suck up animation so they get a fast animation right here. And I go to pull the tablecloth and get the tech skip, and then we get the heck out of there. So yeah, getting those precise R pumps is just like really, really tough. Alright, now we're in Armory, and this room has, I think, the most ghosts in a single room that you can like all spawn at the same time. Because usually rooms have like different waves that you have to like defeat one wave and then spawn another one, but this one just lets you do them all at once. So the fastest way to do this is just to spawn them all as fast as we can, and then just go for the, well, it would be a 6-piece, but this orange ghost right here only has 10 health, so we just defeat him with element. So we can just focus on these 5 right here. And then the thing to notice about this is that the lowest HP ghost right here is this red grabber who has 9 HP left, and I'm gonna drain him basically perfectly, and then I get a really fast suck up on him as well. And so he's in my vacuum on this frame, right? So I start this knockback animation. Now I managed to get all the other ghosts into my vacuum before that knockback animation was over, so boom, I can just start moving right away. So this was actually quite fast. I'm glad this worked out how it did. So we're going to spawn the key, but we're not going to pick it up yet because we're going back into this room. And when you leave a key like that, obviously the game knows that it's not going to just like completely despawn it. Like, it's going to make sure you get it. So the key is going to be there later when we come back. But for right now, we gotta just do this optional portrait ghost. This is Jarvis. Not really a ghost you see in any normal speedruns of this game because it's just entirely optional most of the time, but we're gonna spend the time that we have waiting on its like cycles to grab all the money in this room. And here's one thing about this is you see that looked a little fast, right? So usually, you know, you just have to wait for him to come out of a certain pot, and then you have to hit him with Ice Element. And obviously we do that frame perfectly every time. So we dupe these 2 gold bars, and then here's the thing. So we hit him with the Ice Element on frame 1, and then right after that, we collect the ruby here. And the thing is that the cycle that he's on for like popping up into the different jars or whatever, that cycle actually continues while you're watching this ruby cutscene. So like we would still have to be waiting this timeout even if we weren't watching this cutscene. So actually watching that cutscene, that's the only like gem collection cutscene in the entire run that doesn't waste any time. Because as you can see, boom, frame 1 on his next cycle. So it looks pretty cool because we can get him. It looks like we just got him twice or something, but it's just because of the how the cutscene works. So we activate the boo here, open the chest, go for a nice dupe on those pearls, grab the gem, the gold bars, and the rest of those bills. And then, so we're setting up here for this double. And an important thing to note about this double, and just in general for boos, is that the only thing that resets the amount of R pumps you can use for a boo is if that boo completely leaves the room, like before you leave the room, and then you like go find wherever it went, and then it plays its little cutscene again when you enter the room. And that doesn't really happen in this run because we're goated. But in this case, you can see that, so the boo right here, so I enter this room before the boo does, right? So it looks like the boo is in this room a little bit, but it's really not in this room yet. So because of that, when we go for the double here, so now this boo comes down and re-enters this room, right? But it never actually like left the room that we're in, if that makes sense. So the amount of R pumps that we have left to like stun this boo that came in from ceramics room has not reset. So if you recall, let's see, how many stuns did we use? Let's see. That's 1. And then here we have to get on the boo again. That's 2. And then we have to R pump here to redirect it to go back to this room, so that's 3. Okay, so we already used 3 of our like 15 or whatever stuns. It's either 14 or 15, I can't remember. So we already used like, and then this is number 4 right here. This is number 4. So we only have like 10 or so R pumps that we can do to like freeze this boo in place. Which, you know, usually wouldn't be a huge problem, but it has 120 health, and we need it to stay in this area right here because we're gonna set up for the tech skip with this cloth. So we have to be like really clever about how we use our remaining R pumps. Like when we can, we have the boos like move a little bit by themselves and then change positions. Like, so right now the boos were just targeting the hallway, and now did another R pump, and now they're targeting the ceramics, like going back up to ceramics. Some more R pumps, and then we move them over a little bit. So every time you walk with the boos, that's like time that you've spent draining them that you didn't have to R pump. So we had to make up like 18 or 20 or so health for the ceramics boo in order to have it not just like completely run off like right at the end here. So we're able to get this very last R pump off on this boo so that it stays where we want it to stay, and then we set up for this tech skip right here. So this was actually very precise as well. And then that's it. So we're done with the third floor of area 4. So we won't be going back there. Usually you kind of have to do some more backtracking through that area because you need to go into sealed room. But we don't need to go to sealed room, and I will explain that later on. But yeah, we're done with floor 3. Well, for the most part. There's one more visit we have to take there. But so now we spawn the cellar boo on our way to do the basement hallway. So we spawn the boo out of the barrel here, and then we leave the room before it has the chance to like play its little cutscene. And this is important because that little cutscene wastes time. And so what we're doing right now is we're going to manipulate this boo that's in cellar. We're going to manipulate it to move over here into cold storage because we're going to set up for a double there in a minute or two from now. So right now you hear it just like kind of sitting there laughing in the room. So this is what I mean. So if you just spawn a boo and then leave immediately without like activating it and making sure it starts moving, it's just gonna sit in that room for like a good amount of time. Now in this case, it's fine because we have to clear this whole room, and this room is pretty long. So we have enough time to just kind of let it wait out that little like sitting around phase, because after a while that boo will start to move around. But it does take a while. Usually we don't have that much time to spare. In this case, we do. So we just let it sit around there for a while, and eventually it'll move out into the hallway, and then we manipulate it to move into cold storage to the left. So you're going to hear it making some noises throughout this room. So this boo has 300 HP, and usually that would mean that one cycling it would be a bit of a challenge, but this boo specifically moves very slowly, so it's actually quite easy. And as we go to suck it up, we're going to move over here and then kind of overlap that cutscene with this cutscene of Luigi turning the valve here. And you just heard the boo move from the hallway into cold storage. And that was a little tough because, so right here, so right when I'm walking into this cutscene here, this like pretty lengthy cutscene that's playing right now. So right after this, I'm sorry, in the middle of this, you heard the boo just decided which room it wanted to go in, and then right after this, the EGAD text for the boo is gonna come up, and we want this. So there's like different lengths of text that EGAD can give you when you collect a boo. and for the entire run, we've been manipulating him to give us the shortest text, and that's usually easy to do, or like pretty trivial. But in this case, it was a little tougher because we had to manipulate that like right here. So like at this point, when we step into this cutscene, it's kind of like we can't really influence how long the thjat text is going to be at any point after this. Like we have to manipulate it right now, but it takes a little effort because we're also manipulating where the boo is going right now, because we're watching a cutscene, so we have no way to change the RNG value. So right before that cutscene, I had to manipulate where the boo was going to go, and also how long of a text I was going to get. And then I had to watch this cutscene and then find out if they were good. So this took a little while to manipulate also. So the boo has been in cold storage long enough where it has chosen a hiding spot. Because sometimes if a boo like moves into a room and then you really quickly go into that room, the boo will just be out like in the middle of the room. But if you wait long enough, it'll choose a hiding spot and then it'll just hide. So we timed it well so that it had chosen a hiding spot here, and we manipulated the cold storage boo to be here, and then we manipulated the cellar boo to move into this room and then move into here, set up for the double. So we open the chest to spawn the key here, and so I said earlier that spawning more than one boo at like the same time or like in quick sequence is kind of weird, and this is an example of that. So it is possible to spawn two boos like right after another or basically at the same time. So I spawned this one and then I right away spawned this one. So that's only really possible because this first boo that I spawned isn't actually out in the room yet. If there's already a boo out in the room, like that you're in, you can't spawn another boo in that same room. So like for instance, so now this boo is out in the room. So at this point, if I had tried to spawn this boo, it would not work. The boo would just like switch places like forever. But because I was able to spawn them both like almost at the same time, it let me do that. And by the way, I did check to see if I could set up for like a triple in this room. However, it's not possible because you can't do three, like one after another. By that time, one of the boos will already have spawned, and then it won't let you spawn any other boos. So, sadly, for a single room, the only thing that's viable is a double. And then we're going to do another save warp right here. And actually, this was like a frame or so faster than the last save warp we did. The last save warp, you could actually see the little like save screen that it brought up, but I found that you can actually reset like a frame or two before that, so that you never even see that screen. So the last save warp I did was slightly unoptimal, which is very sad, but it's okay. Alright, so there's only really 3 rooms left before we're done with the run. The one we're going to right now is Van Gogh. So this is the, this is like canonically the last portrait ghost. It's the one that gives you the key to the altar. So yeah. But obviously there's still two other boos that we have to get, and those are in the room that's like right in front of the camera. Like if you were to continue down this hallway, like past this wall that's right here that you can't see, there's the sitting room, and then there's the guest room. And the key to the sitting room is in the sealed room, which is this room, the room that's behind this boarded up door. Now, the way to get into the sealed room is not from here. You have to enter from the chimney that's on the roof. And that's what I meant about usually you have to do more backtracking in Area 4 to, like, you know, go to the roof, go, you know, fall down the chimney into this room, and then the only way out of this room is by, there's a mirror, and you have to mirror warp. That's the only way out. Luckily for us, there's no boo in the sealed room. There's only, like, there's a bunch of regular ghosts, there's a bunch of money, and then there's a key to the sealed room. And we do have to go to the sealed room, so normally we would need that key. However, there is a way to clip into the sealed room. So luckily we are able to just completely skip that. However, I do have to manipulate the boo locations for the sealed room right now. I'm sorry, for the I have to manipulate the boo location for the sitting room right now, and that is going to happen right as I cross this threshold right here. You see the camera's going to change. Boom. So right now, that just determined the position for the sitting room boo, which will be which we'll get to in a second. But yeah, for now we're gonna grab element and go up to Bangor. So this room is basically just all about getting fast suck-ups here. With some of these triples, it's a little annoying just because the way that the ghosts like move, like these guys specifically, like the way that their behavior is coded, like, and the way that they just start running, it's hard to get them all to run in the same direction because there's 3 of them. And also because these paintings are in the way, it's like harder to manipulate exactly where they go because they can run up here, like past the paintings, but you can't. You're like stuck back here. So for some of these, it's like a bit hard to manipulate them. Mostly for those grabbers and for these shy guys, it's a little tough to get them all to go like in the same direction. But for all these ghosts, we like stagger their health, like we were talking about before, so that we can get good animations for all of them. Alright, Vancore is done. We spawn the boo, and then hit some dupes, hit some pearl dupes right there. And go for this boo. So this boo is the only ghost in the entire game that cannot be one cycle. And that is because 3 things. First, it has 300 health, which is, you know, a lot. Second of all, it is very fast. And third of all, it only has 1 room it can go to, so you can't like make it swap between rooms. The only way it can go is the hallway. And you can only, you know, you only have so many R pumps, and you can only drag it so far back before it's just going to do whatever it wants. So yeah, this one is just too fast for us to get in 1 cycle. And here you see what I mean about like, so the boo has not reset its R pumps yet. Like, I left the room before it entered the hallway, so it didn't play the little cutscene. So it still has the same amount of R pumps left on it. So we actually have to wait until it enters the room and then we enter the room, and now we'll play this little cutscene, and now we have all 15 stuns back. We can R pump it as much as we want again. Alright, so usually from this point, Van Gore is kind of like the last thing you do in most speedruns before you go to the boss of the game, but in this case we still have a little bit of cleaning up to do. We have to do sitting room and guest room, like I mentioned, and obviously we don't have the key, so we are going to clip inside. So we're going to drag this bat down here, get hit by this bat, and get a skew off of the stairs. Like I said, I don't really know how like skews work. Most of the time they involve getting hit by a certain type of ghost, like a mouse or a bat, that's by Luigi's feet. In this case, it is not by Luigi's feet, but I think it might have something to do with the fact that you're on stairs, and like when you're on stairs, you kind of like get air time. So like when you walk over a stair, you're kind of like in the air for a little bit, and when you're in the air, it's easier to get skews than when you're on the ground. So yeah, we get a skew here, and the skew that we get here also has to be like really precise. Like we need like a really sharp skew, otherwise this clip that we're doing won't work. And this is also funny, this movement on the stairs. And we have to do this because going downstairs when you have a skew usually just makes you lose your skew. Like if you move at all while you're like going down or like you're going off of a stair, like if you get airtime at all, you lose your skew basically after you already have one. So what we need to do is we need to like slide down the stairs here. So we basically walk to the end of a step, and then we let gravity or the slope of the stairs work for us and bring us down to the next step without like actually getting any airtime. So we don't lose our skew. And it does look kind of funny and a little slow, but this is just the only way to conserve our skew here. And this is the only way to get a skew in this hallway, because since this hallway is like lit up, or at least this part is, there's really no way to like get a skew in this hallway because all the mice are gone. So this is like our only option here. And in order to keep a skew when you're in a lit room, you have to be holding the vacuum, or like using the vacuum. So you have to be holding R or L to use element or the vacuum. Otherwise, if you try to move with the skew in a lit room, you will just lose it instantly. So we have to move with the vacuum here until we get into this corner, and then we can drop our skew and then clip into this room. And again, we barely make it into this room. Like, it's crazy that this actually works, to be honest. And then we're gonna get scared here by the doors. Like, the doors are locked with spikes, and usually when that happens, Luigi gets scared, like he does here. But right before he gets scared, we're able to hit both of these candles with the fire element, which is what triggers the ghosts in this room to spawn in the first place. So we save some time there, and we're actually able to scare skip without using the Game Boy Horror, because we're already in the like getting scared animation when these ghosts spawn, so they don't scare us. You can't get scared twice, that's what I always say. So we kind of have to do some manipulation here. So there's 5 ghosts in this room in this first wave. 3 of them are over here, and one spawns up here, and then one spawns like down here. So in order to spawn these two, we actually have to move closer to them. So we move over this way to spawn these two ghosts, and then we move back a little bit, and that's in order to make this ghost like go or this way around the couch, because we're gonna want to get the 5-piece on them here. So we have to kind of just move around to manipulate their like paths and stuff. And then we also have to get into this corner next to this fish bowl, just because we have to. We need the water element for the second phase of this room. So this is the only room in the game, maybe besides the kitchen, that requires two different kinds of elements. Because you have to come into this room. Well, you need fire to light these candles, and this room has both elements. Like this room has fire and water. So you need fire to light the candles, and then you need water to defeat the second wave of ghosts. So we're going to spawn the water element here, turn around, and hit the 5-piece. Suck up the water element while we're doing that, and then we can take care of the second wave. Then we're going to activate the boo right here while we're setting up this tablecloth for the tech skip. Alright, and then we can go ahead and enter the guest room, which is the last major room we're going to need to be in. It has the last portrait ghost, the last boo, and the last, well, second to last piece of money that we need to finish the route. Alright, so guest room is kind of unique because of the like upside down gimmick it has, where when you enter the room for the first time, before you clear it, it's like all upside down, and then you leave the room and then the room goes right side up. So basically the boo for this room has not been determined yet, because the boo for guest room only exists when the room is right side up. So there's no boo in this room, as you can see. There's no boo. But then as soon as we leave, so like basically right now that we're outside of this room, it's gonna play this little cutscene that's like, oh, the room's slipping over. But in the game's memory, the room has already changed into the right side up room. So now at this point, the boo location for this room has been determined. So we manipulate that basically as we're leaving. I like shoot some water to manipulate that. So we're gonna activate the boo. Oh yeah, see, this is what I mean. So when you enter a new room, or when you enter a room that has a chest in it that you haven't opened yet, it plays this like cutscene. And this one is unavoidable because it's impossible to open this chest while the room is like upside down. So when you come in here for the first time, you're gonna have to watch this cutscene. So this one is unavoidable. But yeah, we spawn the boo here, hit a quick dupe on the big pearl right there. And so instead of R pumping, you can just have the boo like switch room locations, and it only wastes. You can, if you're precise enough, you can have it like leave the room for a second and then come back immediately. So this is just as fast as R pumping, except it just looks funny. All right. So that is boo number 50, and that means that we get the gold diamond, and this is worth 20 million G. So this is definitely a big part of the money route right here. And it's kind of funny because you cannot dupe gems. Like I mentioned earlier, you can only dupe gold bars and pearls. You cannot dupe gems for whatever reason, and if you could, that would make the money route like a lot easier. That would kind of trivialize it in a lot of ways. Like just being able to dupe this would just be a free like 40 million. That's like almost half of the amount of money that you need. But you can't dupe it, so the money route is much tighter. But as you've seen, we really didn't have to waste all that much time collecting money throughout the run. So now there's only one more piece of money left to collect. And yeah, so we're heading to King Boo right now. Got all the boos, got all the portrait ghosts, and if you've been keeping count, we have we have 99,995,000 G, our money. So we need exactly one more coin to get to 100 million for the A rank. Alright, and then we're going to use another like semi-recently discovered trick here where we can do King Boo in one cycle. And we do this by, so when he's throwing these spike balls, so he throws the first one, and we actually wait just a tiny bit to shoot it. Or like, it's possible to catch this ball, like if you're standing here, it's like possible to catch it way earlier and shoot it back at him. But we need him, before we hit him for the first time, we need him to throw this second ball. So he throws this second ball on one frame, and then on the very next frame, then we hit him with the first ball. So he doesn't get the chance to throw this third one, but he does throw the second one, and we need the second one because we're going to catch it with our vacuum, and then we're gonna take out the Game Boy Horror, and that puts it down, so it's not gonna roll away. Just kind of sets it down where it is. And then we start draining King Boo, and then while we're draining King Boo, we take the vacuum off of him for literally like one frame. So 57, 56, 55, 54, 53. So another frame of 53 to pick up the ball, another frame of 53 to shoot it, and then boom, we're right back on it. So we waste like only 3 frames of optimal draining of King Boo here to stun Bowser's head a second time, and that lets us drain King Boo's health in one go. GG. So at this point, this is when the real time for this run like ends on this frame. So for real timing for this run, the timing starts when you select the file after you like open the game, and then the timing ends when you on this frame when you first collect King Boo's crown. And if you remember how I was saying we needed one more coin to reach the A rank, well, King Boo's crown is the I forgot if it's called like the red diamond or something, but there's only one other, or like one or two other gems like it in the game besides here, and it is worth only 5,000 G. So King Boo's crown is worth as much as a single coin, and by collecting it, we now have exactly 100 million G, which is enough for A rank and 100%. So at this point, as far as the task goes, timing is not over yet because we are still making inputs, because we have to go through these last few cutscenes here before we are completely done and in the credits. So task timing still counting right now, and it's going to count all the way up until the end of this cutscene. Well, not this one, but the next one. After it counts up all the ghosts and all our money, and then it's going to ask us if we want to save. And then after we press B to not save, then at that point, task timing will end. Usually, for this game, task timing is like around like a minute 45 longer than RTA timing, which again ends on when you suck up King Boo's crown. But in this case, TAS or RTA saves like close, I think over 2 minutes from task timing. So task timing is 2 minutes slower than RTA, just because there's so many ghosts that like from earlier in the game that we never ran through the portrificationizer or whatever. So it has to spend extra time here, like processing these portraits, and usually it wouldn't. Like usually, you know, you do a fixed amount of portrait ghosts in each area, but because we did the areas out of order, that screwed everything up. So the time that it takes to like process these portraits is not included in the real time, whatever it is, I can't even remember. But it is included in the task time still. So RTA saves a little bit more than TAS does on average for most runs of this game. And also, let me take this time to say that so another thing to consider for portrait ghosts is what frame you get, what kind of frame you get when you defeat them. There's a bronze frame, a silver frame, and a gold frame. Now, getting the gold frame for all of the portrait ghosts is not required for 100%. It is required for max percent, but not 100%. And, I mean, you can disagree with that if you want, but I think it's funny that we get mostly gold portraits anyway, but there's a couple ghosts that we don't get gold portraits on, we get silver, and one of them is Bogmire, because if you remember, we had to do like not a damage boost, but like we took damage by hitting one of the skeletons so that it would position itself correctly for like the triple setup right before Bogmire. So that put us at 89 health, and the requirement for getting a gold frame is that you defeat the portrait ghost with at least 90 health. So we were like 1 health away from getting the gold frame for Bogmire, and I think one other portrait ghost, but it didn't happen, which is okay, because again, for this category, gold frames are not a requirement. But I'm sure it made at least one of you very upset that we did not get all the gold frames, and for that, I don't apologize. So yeah, you can see all the ghosts here that we have to process. All right, and now we can take a good look, because this is only when you're watching this TAS in real time. You can only see this for a frame, which is this frame. But let's just stop and appreciate for a second. So yeah, this is the money totals that we got up to exactly 100 million G. So you can see 459 coins, which is only just over 2 million. So this is like a little over two large pearls, or like one diamond is like 459 coins. So you see what I mean, where like the coins don't really matter that much. Like as long as we got within a certain range of coins, like it would be fine to add up to this. Bills are definitely way more valuable, as were the gold bars. Here are all the gems we got. So this is the like the red diamond. Yeah, as you can see, it's only worth as much as a coin. So this is kind of funny. So this is displaying incorrectly. It says we have 99 medium pearls, but that is definitely not true. We have, how many did we end with? Forgot. Hold on, let me check. 136. So we ended with 136 medium pearls. But right here, it's only showing us 99. Yeah, it's weird because it's showing 3 digits for the small pearls, so I don't know why it's only showing 2 digits for the medium pearls. But anyway, we're lucky that it still counts them up correctly to 56 million. So yeah, this is like where the majority of the money for this run came from, was pearls, and specifically from duplicating pearls. If I did the math before, I can't remember it right now, but I mean, we duplicated, I think there's like 19 portrait ghosts that drop pearls, because like the area bosses like Bogmire and Chauncey and King Boo, or I'm sorry, yeah, well, King Boo and also Boolossus, they don't drop any pearls. So there's only 19 portrait ghosts that actually drop pearls, and out of those 19, we duplicated the large pearl for them, for every single one except for Petunia. So that's an extra like 18 million G just from the large pearl dupes alone, and obviously we duplicated a lot of mediums and a lot of smalls also. So that ended up being a pretty satisfying way to solve the money route with these dupes. Like it works out kind of nice that you can't dupe this large pearl, so it kind of forces you to get creative with how fast you can duplicate like the pearls for each ghost. So yeah, at this point, so yeah, this is when TAS timing stops, is right here. So we've pressed B to select no, we don't want to save, and from this point on there is no further input required. So the movie is done. And well, it's done from the TAS perspective, but it's not really done until we verify that we have the highest ranking. So we have to watch until the end here. Alright, I'm gonna skip the credits. Don't be mad. Don't be mad. Please don't be mad. I'm skipping the credits. Don't be mad. Please. Okay. So now the game is telling us that EGAD was able to build a house with the money that we got, and yeah, we got rank A, 100 million G. Alright, so thanks for watching. I hope my rambling commentary was at least somewhat insightful about this run and how it was made and how it works and all that. And yeah, hope you enjoyed watching. If you have any comments, stuff that I didn't cover that you're curious about, just leave a comment. I'll probably respond. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Peace out.